after listening to it, like when I was producing everything, I was like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Don't you hate that when you're in the mood, you're like in the mode, well, I shouldn't say in the mood, but when you're like in it, you're like, oh God, this is rough.
Yeah.
And then you get after it and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it really wasn't bad. And I was just, and part of me was like, man, is like the chemistry off and like, is the timing off? Is it just me? Is it in my head? It was clearly in my head because after I listened to it again, there's actually some really funny parts and it flowed really well. So
I'm going to be real with you.
It wasn't disruptive.
I think the odds were against us. The elements were against us anyway because, bro, we were hotboxing in a 95-degree garage.
Yeah, I really don't like doing the Zooms personally. I get their effectiveness from a visual perspective.
Yeah.
But we also aren't set up to do them. Like, I fucking quickly ad hoc bought a couple headsets that I did a little bit of research on. But the problem even with that was if one of us wasn't muted and we were trying to talk, you could hear the other person and the other person's mic, which caused quality issues. And it's just like, you know, if we were to do a Zoom like that again, which we have interviews coming up after this week, if we're to do that again, we're gonna have to do them in separate spaces. It doesn't make sense for us to do them in the same space.
Yeah.
And the headset microphones give there's a higher sense of quality with them than there is with my table. So it's like you're sacrificing one thing to gain the other in both scenarios, and it's like it just kind of sucks. Like this setup we've done for a long time. We're acclimated to. We typically have people phone in. And why do I always say phone in? Because it's the highest quality out of you're going to get is if people phone in. You don't have to worry about bandwidth disruptions like going through Skype or Zoom. It's a cellular signal. We're used to hearing it. It's like that's always seems to be the best way to do it. But it lacks visual representation, which people really like, especially these days. So it's like, I don't know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But
yeah,
it's all good either way.
Let's just do it in VR.
Dude, that would be kind of dope.
It would be dope.
Like a virtual, like a lounge, virtual.
But we have our own avatars. And so, like, it's not actually us physically.
Yeah.
It's literally like an avatar. So I'll be like maybe like a real slutty girl from like an anime movie.
Yeah, smoking a cigar.
Yeah, well, I mean, you wouldn't see the cigar in the virtual world.
But why wouldn't you?
Unless I programmed it.
I think it'd be cool. Why not have a literal virtual lounge?
And it's doable.
Yeah, I know it's doable.
Yeah. And if we had avatars, like I want to be a big fat slobby man.
You know, it reminds me of an episode of Black Mirror where these two friends play the video game together, but then they suck each other off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, but we're friends, man. It's just like it's fake. But it's like, is it though?
No.
It's not fake.
No.
It feels so real. Yeah, it's really creepy. Dude, I feel like because we've done so much interviews in the course of like the last 2 months, I feel like
chance to talk.
We haven't had a chance to literally talk about anything.
I know.
Like there is shit going on in the world, and we have not been able to say literally. I mean, in the cigar world and the world, I feel like there's
lives.
Hours worth of shit to discuss.
Yeah. Do you want to go through some like high level bullets?
Sure. Start with personal.
Okay. Dating someone wonderful.
Yeah.
Been dating her for almost a year.
Yeah, but we've talked about that, haven't we?
Have we?
I don't know.
Maybe we have. I'm having a daughter in November.
That we have not talked about.
I got custody of my son.
We didn't talk about that either.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to alcohol.
Well, you're drinking alcohol.
But I'm drinking it now. I apparently I don't think my body can metabolize the enzymes in alcohol, so I get real blotchy and real funky.
Yeah.
And then I noticed I had one beer, and I haven't had a beer in forever, and it made me nauseous. And then it bloated the shit out of me.
Yeah, your medical diagnosis is really weird a lot of times, though, because you say what you tend to do is you tend to sound smart in your effort to try to create an understanding around what is going on in your body.
Sure. Yeah.
But then when I say, did you go to the doctor? You're like, nah, I just read it online.
Yep.
So So you talk about it as it's a definitive.
Yeah, I do my own prostate checks.
But it's not. You just like fingering your own asshole. That's totally different. But my point is that you aren't a medical doctor.
Yeah.
So when you read WebMD, which everything...
I'm not certified.
Right. Oh, I'm sure you've done surgery before on like
I
little
totally
kids.
Have. Like my son, when he got his head whacked open, like his head split open, I super glued it.
You're like the opposite of dad.
What? Oh yeah, of dad. I thought you meant of a dad.
No, you're the opposite of dad.
Yeah, for sure. Our dad.
Like where you're like, I don't need to go to the doctor for this.
No.
I'll home remedy, figure it out.
Yeah.
Or battle through it. Where dad gets a nosebleed and goes to the emergency room.
I know. We had a COVID scare on my girlfriend's side of the family.
Yep.
Which turned out negative, but who knows? Doctor says it was a false positive or false negative, which is like, why even take a test if you're gonna put out false negatives?
Yeah, there's a lot of false positives too, though. So.
And then.
But a false negative tends to mean negative. A false positive tends to mean positive.
Yeah, and then one of our cousins got COVID. Mm-hmm. We just found out the other day.
Yep.
I want COVID.
Yeah, I'm desperately trying to get it.
I know.
Just so I can get on the other side of it.
Yeah, work's been crazy. I drink a lot. We're through way too many bottles of bourbon at the lounge.
Again, though, that's all you.
I smoke so much cigars anymore. My lips are getting chapped. Does your lips ever get chapped when you smoke too much?
No, my lips got really chapped from going to the dentist, though.
I can see that.
Because they suck out all the moisture.
That's true. And the trauma of it.
Clamp your fucking face open. Oh
yeah,
my God.
You had a tooth basically replaced.
I still have one more appointment.
Jesus
on
Christ.
the 23rd, but I'm happy to report I am getting a bright gold crown.
Hell yeah.
So I'm going to have a gold tooth.
Hell yeah.
Which Lauren is very upset about. But I will say this. It has been proven, although more expensive, gold crowns last a hell of a lot longer than porcelain crowns.
Plus, when you're dead and gone, and 100 years from now, you got some grave robbers.
Someone's digging through and they go,
and they come across your grave. It's like, oh, shit.
It is, I think, 16 karat gold is what they use.
Yeah, your face is going to be worth
I'm still waiting for the... Honestly, I'm still actually waiting for the quote on the gold one because they quote the porcelain and the dentist told me, they're like, hey, we'll have a quote to you by the end of day today or end of day yesterday. They didn't. Then they called me this morning and said we'll have it by end of day today, which they haven't. So I'm still waiting on my quote for. If it's too much money, I won't do it because insurance will essentially cover up crown replacements.
Yeah.
Like every 5 years because porcelain crowns only last 5 to 15 years. It's like anything porcelain. It wears down over time.
Yeah.
And will fall off. Like that shit happen. Which by the way, so funky feeling when they're going in there and like structuring the crown.
Yeah.
It feels like a Lego.
Really just like snaps on? Like
it literally snaps on.
That's cool.
Like they have to cement it on, but they make it to where it fits a groove and your tooth looks like the male end of a Lego. Ew. It's fucking weird. And they just like pop it on there.
That's cool. And like cemented in or something?
Yeah, my temporary one's in right now, which they were like, no sticky foods and you can't floss because you'll just pop it right off.
Oh, shit.
Which is not good. So, and my next appointment's not until 3 weeks. So
damn.
I got to be careful about making sure I'm not chewing taffy. I was thinking about, I was like, what do I chew? I don't even chew gum anymore. So I was like, what do I chew that's sticky or like tacky-ish?
Yeah.
Nothing. Literally nothing.
Like
I floss though. That's the thing that makes me nervous because I'm so used to going through that flossing routine.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 and there's, you imagine that thing popping out?
Yeah, that'd be pretty annoying.
It wouldn't hurt, but it would definitely be annoying.
See, what else happened in the last few weeks that we haven't talked about? Actually, this was pretty crazy yesterday, actually.
Oh, shit. What happened?
I was going to go pick up my son, and on the highway, I noticed a giant semi-trailer hanging over the highway, and the truck was 30 feet below it.
Whoa.
On 35.
That dude dead.
And there was like 50 people lined the side of the highway looking down.
Do you think he died?
I don't know.
Let's look it up.
I didn't care too much to research or look it up. And the other part of me was like, do I stop? I was like, nah, they got 50 people.
How did you not want to look this up? Hold on.
I don't know. I got a
what
photo.
was it?
I got a photo of it. Semi truck goes over the edge of 35.
Hold on. Oh man, we've got to look this up. Fatal semi truck crash.
Oh shit.
Wait on. Hold on. Yeah, victim. Oh wait, dude, no, that was. Oh yeah, 7/7/2020. So was this 7/7?
It literally happened a minute or two before I got there.
What was yesterday?
Yeah, it was the 10th.
Oh, hold on.
Some pretty wild shit though, man. I blame COVID on that crash
I can't find it.
because it's possible.
I don't know. I'll look it up later.
I got a photo of it.
Yeah, it's possible. But dude, imagine how scary that would be.
Oh my god.
If you're the one in the truck and you're just like watching your essentially impending death.
Yeah.
You're staring straight at the ground like, well, that's going to kill me for sure once I hit.
I was extremely annoyed by the new Joe Coy thing on Netflix because I thought it was a stand-up and it's just literally a Philippines, like, not Philippines. Where's he from?
Yeah, I thought he's from Hawaii. No, he's from Philippines.
I think it's
Is
Philippines.
there- no, he has family that lives in Hawaii though.
But it's literally just him, like, showing off the culture of the Philippines. I was like, I want stand-up.
He just did a stand-up special.
I know, but the one I just saw I thought was a stand-up and it's not.
Well, why would you think he would do a stand-up like 3 months apart?
I don't know, because he's weird.
Like his last one. Well, his last one came out in February, but no, they don't do stand-up that frequently.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's cool. He's going to stand up in, like, the Philippines, like,
That makes no sense.
where his mother's from or something. And then it's like 5 minutes of jokes in front of the audience, and the rest of it is just videos of, like, him in the Philippines, like, showing off the culture.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, don't care.
Yeah.
Care not.
I do not care.
Not enough attention span for stuff like that.
No, I don't at all. Like, if it's got, like, werewolves or, like, magic or it was, like, back in some medieval time era.
I feel like you secretly would like Twilight.
I've watched it enough, yes. I've watched it enough. And when I mean enough, I mean
You watch
like
the wolves?
I mean like 30 plus times each of them.
Interesting. Did you see the new Jim Jeffries special?
No, I saw it though. I saw it.
Hysterical.
I need to watch it tonight.
So funny.
Yeah, I need to watch it tonight. So to see people that like, there's so much bad happening in the world, and don't get me wrong, like we've got a fucking electron microscope focused on that shit, right?
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
the thing is there's so much beautiful things happening in the world. There's so many good things that are completely being ignored.
Not really though.
What?
Like what?
Babies being born.
It's not good right now.
Well,
Babies are being born in an economy that we don't know if we can support babies.
for every COVID death, there's a new baby. You know?
Yeah, that's what we don't need.
What
We need COVID to do its duty by wiping out the population we don't need any longer.
What we're doing is clearing bed space. That's the important part.
Yeah.
You know, we're not having to build new buildings. It's just
Yeah.
like that person died, that was his bed, now you have it.
How pissed do you think assisted living facilities are right now?
Oh my God, probably crazy.
They're probably like, God damn it, like stop killing the people who make us so much goddamn money.
I know.
We're trying to extend their lives in a very, very horrible way for a very long, drawn out time.
I know. It's just, but there's just a lot of good things happening in the world too. I can't really name any, but I know they're there.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
they gotta be there.
Yeah.
You gotta be a half, like a glass half full type guy. You know what I'm saying?
I will put it this way. For the first time in my life, and like probably the recent month and a half, I felt like I was actually battling some sort of depression.
Probably
Where I was thinking like,
dark thoughts.
well, I was,
Oh.
you know what was frustrating for me? Not dark thoughts. It wasn't
Oh.
like, not suicidal. But I was drinking a lot,
Yeah.
and it seemed like Groundhog's Day, rinse and repeat, get up, go through the motions, the whole
Yeah.
thing, right? And I began to think about like, I'm 32 years old. I'll be 33 next month. These like literally and like legitimately supposed to be the best years of my life. And up until this year, they have been. Every year progressively has gotten better and better. in all aspects of my life.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, like, everything that's going on, and I know this is like a selfish way to think, but I was like, is this literally how the best years of my life I'm going to live them and I'm going to spend them? Not being able to go out, wearing a mask all the time, which I'm not complaining about the mask, but you understand my point. Like,
Yeah.
like there's not going to be any normalcy for I don't know how long. It could be 3 months, could be 3 years.
Who knows?
Could be fucking 30 years. I don't know.
And we got that super volcano under Yellowstone that's ready to pop.
Dude, I literally said, I was like, the next thing will just, this is a global pandemic.
Did you see the comet in France?
Then there's all the racism shit. Dude, next it's just going to be an asteroid. It's going to fucking smack the shit out of the earth. We're all going to die.
That's what I'm saying. And I was a little worried because, like, so much shit's happening. Like, yeah, everything goes. And I saw footage of a comet or an asteroid going past France. I'm like, that's how fucking zombie apocalypse start. If you've seen those 80s movies, that's how zombies are created.
Right.
You know, it's like some weird comet goes by the earth. Everybody just turns into the Walking Dead.
Right.
And then you got to fight off everybody, your loved ones. It's like, I love you, but I can't do it. And then
listen, I love Lauren, but I will chop her head off.
Then you axe her in the top of the head, and you're like, and you're holding her, and she just smells, and you're like, ugh.
Just
but
like
I
decaying.
still love you. You
Yeah.
just smell like a dirty vagina and necrosis. And but you still love them. And you're like, well, now what do I got to do? Well, now I got to put on some gear to make it look official. I got to walk out my front door and never look back. I got to join a group of other survivors.
Right.
I've got to band together. We've got to make agriculture somewhere in the Midwest because that's the only place you can really do it because cities are off limits. There's way too many zombies. You got to do it out in the middle of nowhere. Then you find out that the slut you've been sleeping with is the same slut that's been sleeping with everybody else. And you're like, oh, I hate these people.
Yeah.
And then you start hating people more than you do the zombies. And then you go out by yourself and you decide, should I just fucking just be a zombie or kill myself? You know?
Did you just play out The Walking Dead?
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. I think, honestly, your best bet would just to be come over here. Would probably be your best bet. That would be the good first step.
I don't have any weapons.
I know.
I do have some really nice Viking steel cutlery.
Also, really funny that you just let all these people know. I have no weapons. My address is also.
Yeah. Come save me.
We'd be safe here for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But we would have to upgrade, meaning that we'd have to take someone's place over.
That's true. But we're going to have a lot of downtime, too. So we're going to probably have to stock up on board games.
Yeah.
Maybe some card games like Uno.
Yeah. Something easy.
But that's
something
how
compact and carryable.
But that's how people die in the apocalypse. Because you start hating people.
Yeah.
You'd be playing what you thought was a friendly game of Uno. And before you know it, you shoot them in the head.
Right.
Because they're like, God damn, those fuckers were cheating.
Yeah.
I caught them cheating. And you shoot them in the head.
Board game anarchy, dude.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy. Yeah, I'm waiting for like level 3. You know what I mean? We're at level 2 right now. Like I'm waiting for like when does planet Earth fight the boss? It's got to be coming.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be coming.
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting for some.
What do you think the next apocalyptic event is? If this was like the 10, what is it? The like the 7, like
Deadly Sins.
Well, the 7. I thought there was like something that's like with Moses. And there was like locust. There's like it's like a term. I forget what it's called.
Oh, I don't know.
Where like the locust came.
The shit
and
happens.
then famine happened.
Right.
I just wonder what the next one is after this COVID.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like you thin the herd just slightly, you get people rattled, and then you hit them with a fucking curveball. What's that curveball?
Yeah, I was thinking like, remember that movie The Core?
Yeah.
Or like the core stopped
just
moving.
stops moving, you gotta nuke it.
Yeah. Just or like it's like restart. It's like a defibrillator essentially for the middle of the earth. I feel like it's gonna be more like something like The Core. It's not gonna be something, or it could be. It could be something extraterrestrial. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to be like in the form of a comet or an asteroid or a meteor. Don't know the difference between any of the three of them. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think it's going to be, part of me thinks it's going to be a large event nature-wise on the Earth, not COVID. I mean like like a super earthquake or like Yellowstone, that whole thing, right? It's
Yeah.
going to be like some super fucking crazy thing that happens with the earth, or it's going to be self-inflicted.
What if it's like, what if what happens is like there's a major earthquake event, and what it does is it cracks an opening in the earth, which exposes something that's been buried there for so long. Like, I was watching Reign of Fire the other day.
God, I love that movie.
Yeah, with
Oh, you
Christian
think dragons
Bale.
are going to come? Sorry, I'm yawning.
And maybe like there's an earthquake, and then it opens up some deep cavernous prison where the dragon has been living for so long in dormancy.
You think so?
And then out of nowhere,
That would be interesting.
dragon comes up. It manages to breed so fastly that we don't know
Yeah.
what to do other than fight it with all the firepower we have in this world, including nukes, and like wiping out half of our population. And then before you know it, we resort to living underground with other factions of people deep in the countryside, where we have to create our own agriculture and live by our own prayers. Keep both eyes open to the sky. When you're sleeping, keep one eye open to the sky. You know?
Yeah.
That type of shit. Looking out for dragons. But then we got to kill the male. That's the tricky part. You got to be able to find the male, the original dragon.
Yeah.
That's the one responsible for basically fucking all the female dragons that he
And
made.
considerably larger.
Yeah,
than all the females.
considerably larger. And yeah, and we got to create a group of people that jump out of helicopters called the Archangels. And their job is to specifically snare dragons in the air so
Right.
that they may crash to the ground and we may kill them and use them as meat, because trying to keep cattle in an open field with dragons flying around is
It's
fucking
impossible.
impossible.
You know what I never understood about those archangels?
What?
Is that they're so goddamn vulnerable.
They're totally vulnerable.
They're just shooting down the sky in one direction.
All of them died.
And the dragons are literally weaving in and out of them. Like, you are nothing.
All of them died in the movie. That was
You are an ant to the dragon shoe.
Yeah.
Like, at any time can destroy you, and does.
yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to do in the part with like the triangulation beacons.
Yeah, and they're like the longest they live is like 17 seconds.
Dude, they do not last long.
No.
And they're going through thick cloud cover so they can't see shit anyway.
Yeah, it's fucking
You don't think the
crazy.
dragon who lives in the clouds doesn't know how to navigate cloud cover?
No shit.
You're a human skydiver.
And the thing about dragons is they have such great eyesight, and even greater eyesight at night. But if you really want to take it down a dragon, the happy hour, the magic hour, is around dusk, because of the bright sunlight that comes over the horizon really
Right.
fucks with their vision. So that's the only time we're really ever going to be able to kill a dragon. Should an earthquake happen after this COVID incident, should there be some deep cavernous hole in the middle of the earth
Uncovered.
that imprisoned a dragon,
Right.
you know. But if that happens, I think we've got a game plan.
Do you think it's more realistic that dragons exist in this apocalyptic scenario, or if we're talking about a cavernous, let's say, something underground in a series of like
Like a ball rock?
catacombs is going to be like the creatures from the Descent?
Yeah, like the Balrog from Lord of the Rings, that deep demoness thing that lives so far underneath like the ground.
No, I think that's too.
That's too Tolkien?
I think it's too mythical.
Is that too Tolkien?
But you don't think that as we've discovered creatures deep in the ocean, that creatures don't exist deep into our mantle,
or that
into the crust of
or
the
a
earth?
subspecies of us have evolved in a place of the world.
Yeah, that's
we-
literally the movie Descent.
I know. That would be creepy as shit.
Yeah, they look like vampire, like they're all pale and,
And they're
shit.
like, "Oh," and they're like
I think that
rip you up.
that scenario is more realistic than a dragon.
You think?
Yeah, did you see that person's driveway that collapsed?
Oh, like at a sinkhole?
Yeah, so a person's driveway collapsed, and it was they discovered an entire cave system underneath their house.
Whoa!
And like these dudes went down and walked the entire cave system. There was like underwater like streams and shit.
That's
They were
cool.
walking through, and it's ginormous. The cave system is fucking
That's
massive.
cool. I gotta look that up.
It was crazy. Like the driveway just goes, and then these guys, I mean, I don't know, archaeologists, who spelunkers, I don't know, cave divers, people went down into the goddamn cave,
Yeah.
and dude, they walked for they walked forever. Like
Oh,
it's
shit.
fucking huge. It goes all the way underneath this neighborhood, and it's this giant cave system. You cannot tell me there's not something living down there.
It's very possible. The only thing you need to ensure that there's a food supply for them, right? Because if you can't find food, then the chances of them surviving down there is nil.
But you know that minerals exist in those spaces. That's what stalactites and stalagmites are.
Yeah, it's
Mineral
minerals found in
composition.
water. Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking any cards off the table on this apocalypse.
Yeah.
You know, it could be anything: dragons, weird subspecies of the Homo sapien that literally would devour us if they came across us.
Yeah.
You know, maybe all trees die and we suffocate because there's no more oxygen in the world.
Do you think there's a possibility of something like an animalistic uprising, similar to like the movie Birds? But
Ooh.
maybe a coordinated effort between all animal species against the human race. Because here's the thing: we are undoubtedly, not only are we so ego-driven as just humanity's existence,
Yeah.
but in addition to that, we're fucking destroying things all the time.
Always. Yeah.
Right? Earth's natural resources.
We take more than we give.
We take way more than we give. We're shitty fucking people. We're shitty fucking creatures. We're fucking shitty. We're shitty because we can provide logic and we can provide reason things. We have critical thinking skills, and we use those to a shitty advantage. We could use them for good or we could use them for bad. As humanity, as a species, we've used them for more bad than we have good, right?
Yeah.
Now, that being said, is there ever a possibility within animalistic evolution that the animals communicate with one another and like what would be considered a hostile human species takeover?
Well, I am pretty confident.
Dude, why has no one made a movie about that?
That squirrels, rabbits, and birds do communicate. But it'd be the cutest uprising ever.
Let's get them. You see like a
It's
bunny
so
just
cute.
hopping towards
It's
you.
like, oh, look at it. It goes for the jugular.
Dude, I think it's weird no one's made a movie that highlights an animal's ability to communicate with another animal species to take over the human race.
Well, I think they probably could if we gave them all that, like,
It's kind of like the movie Madagascar, though, if we're being
that
honest.
Google Translate device. Like, if all animals got that Google Translate device where they could talk to someone else that they don't know their language,
Right.
you know, they just got to put the bunny language on there. and
Like,
the
do you
rabbit
think there's
language.
ever like a squirrel? Let's
language.
say you're going into your backyard, you're scratching your nuts early in the morning.
Yeah.
You've just made your drip coffee.
That's bad for squirrels, by the way.
You're just looking out on the horizon in your backyard, and there's a bird and a squirrel on the fence, and they're just looking at like they're literally communicating with one another, looking at you, going, "Who the fuck's this guy?
It's very likely.
Like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah, and I'm sure that squirrel's perched up on that little banister looking at me, goes, I really want them nuts as I'm scratching mine.
Yeah, probably.
You know,
Yeah,
I know he's got nuts in his pants.
yeah. Squirrels are always looking
They're
for
more
nuts.
like grapes, real
Dude.
small grapes.
We're some species of animals hiding peanuts up in our windowsills.
Yeah,
Every time we open the windows, fucking peanuts fall out.
they know what's up. They're hoarding.
I know, it's driving me nuts because I don't know if it's a squirrel or if it's birds.
They're stocking up, man. They're
I
stocking
think
up
they're
for the
taking.
apocalypse.
I think they're taking the peanuts from my neighbor's bird feeder and they're stuffing them up in our windows. Because every time we open a window, peanuts just fall out every time. It's cool for me because it's like a vending machine snack. It's just like I open a window and it's just a couple peanuts that I can munch on.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh, it has been atrociously hot here.
That's
what they make
true.
note. And now here's the thing. It's been really hot across the United States. We're not the only ones feeling the heat wave. But what I would say is being the beginning of July, we've had more 90-plus degree days than we've had anything else in the series of 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And that is insanely uncommon for where we live.
it is.
It gets hot, but it never really gets this hot.
And there was no graduation of the weather.
No, it went 55 degrees to 95 degrees.
Yeah, man. It's been wild.
I think today is one of the more mild days, and that's only because there's a breeze that's coming through. I think the high today is, 86, 87?
That's the next wave
Just heat.
of the apocalypse.
It's a heat wave.
The sun is expanding
Yeah.
because it's dying.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Just get it over with.
Yeah, it's slow. It takes several billion, trillion years.
I'd kill myself.
I mean, I'm not waiting that long.
I mean, not if like the sun burnt out and I knew there was a billion years.
Yeah.
But if like the sun burnt out and it was like you have a year and 3 days before you're totally fucked. Like in the last few days, I'm just gonna kill myself.
Well, the question is, we got to ask ourselves
I'm
this.
not gonna let it kill me.
Do you believe in God?
Do you believe in love?
Do you believe in God? Knowing that that's happening.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Well, then here's what I'd say. Throw out all moralistic beliefs. Throw out all ethics. If you don't feel like you're going to go to hell knowing that you're going to die in a year because the sun's going to engulf you in solar hot radiation, right?
Yeah.
And melt you into nothing.
You're saying enact the purge?
Yeah, dude. Like, fucking do whatever you want.
Do some hood rat shit?
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, like literally go and fly a plane.
Yeah.
Without any lessons.
Yeah.
Just take a plane up and hope for the best.
Yeah. Punch a small child.
They always say takeoff is easy. It's landing that's tough.
Landing's the tough part.
So if you're going to go out, you get up fucking 30,000 feet in that plane and you make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that. I would do that or I would do something. I would do an activity that at the end of it, it almost ensured my death. Like heroin.
I would for sure eat so much to see how fat I can get
Oh, you just die
within
though.
a year. Well, that's the
Oh,
beauty
you're
of it.
giving yourself time.
Yeah, so I'm going to if I got a year and 3 months until this sun cooks me, let's see if I can get to 600 pounds.
Your logic is, let's see if the sun gets me before cardiac arrest does.
Yeah.
And everybody's placing Vegas bets on whether or not you're gonna die before the sun
For
does.
sure.
Yeah.
I would also probably take up racing. I think the idea of
that would be fun.
like racing at like 200 miles an hour just all the time.
Yeah, I think, and I don't even think it would just be you or I, but I think people who have been, I don't want to say reserved necessarily, but have just assessed risk in their own lives as to not end their time on Earth too quickly.
Yeah.
Are likely going to be the people that go into the fucking sand dunes and go 300 miles an hour in a fucking straightaway rocket.
Yeah. What do you think?
You're going to try some shit that most people are not willing to try.
What do you think the world's greatest minds would do if they knew the world was going to burn on the surface, right? Maybe it's not the sun's going to like engulf us and just obliterate the earth, but what if it's just like the surface of the earth would be so inhospitable?
Yeah.
And so hot that no one could survive on it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think the world's greatest minds would do to preserve our survival?
Well, here's the thing. You aren't going to colonize other planets because the sun is going to affect them equally as it does the Earth.
For sure.
Right? So you can't do that.
Right.
So your only other bet is to go into the crust of the Earth.
Right.
Right? So
Where the descent people are.
Where the descent people are. So you're battling the descent people.
This is not looking good.
Well, first of all, in their territory.
And there's probably dragons down there too.
Probably dragons.
Last thing you
because we know that dragons live in the mines.
So it's like you find a cavern. It's like, we found a cavern. It's got a fucking dormant dragon in it.
I think the world's greatest minds are not. Because here's the thing. If you're that smart, you're smart enough to know you cannot ensure survival. You're going to think about it hard enough to come to the conclusion that it simply cannot exist. You're going to come to terms with it. And then you're just going to do what you have to do in that time period. Whatever that may be. Whatever you've wanted to do. Spend time with your family, whatever it may be.
I wonder if they would do a global Titanic move. Where it's like, the women and children first.
But like, where would you go?
I guess just...
Again, can't colonize another planet.
You'd have to
Isn't our galaxy also merging with another galaxy at this current period in time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I was like, well, that's frightful.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
What are we getting ourselves into?
Here's my thing. Lauren and I had this discussion. This may be... I don't want to say this is dark, but we had this discussion the other day, and, we've talked about kids, obviously.
There you
go. We're at that age. And
is it the right time to bring a child into this world?
We literally had that discussion because we were both just like, we hear all this shit, we see all this shit, we expose it. And really, honestly, we make fun of what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
But the realization is like between like COVID-19 and some of the other shit that's going on in the U.S. right now, and which affects the rest of the world.
Yeah.
those things that are happening, that are currently occurring literally all over the place, it doesn't not affect anybody in the U.S., are so minute, really, in comparison to the things that we're talking about, even just joking. Like, there could literally be something that ends our existence in a moment, right? So, like, I started thinking about this, and I'm, like, thinking about COVID-19, and just, like, we're dealing with all these issues, and they're very stressful.
Yeah.
And it's a weird time. And so we had that discussion. I was like, God, do I even want, like, do I want my child to be responsible for figuring this shit out
Oh, yeah.
in 20, 30 years? Do I want to put my kid through that?
Versus just being shot onto a bedcloth.
Right. Being a shower baby, a drain baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And her eggs, you know.
A fucking splatter on, you know.
And her eggs just exiting in a thick vat of tomato soup.
Right. Ugh. God damn it. My point is.
Yeah.
My point is like, is it even, it's not even, is it appropriate? It's almost like, is it responsible? Is it a responsible thing to do at this point, knowingly?
I think it's a bucket list item.
You know what I think it is? I think there's a part of me that really feels it's selfish.
Having a child?
Like having, like in this particular point in time with so much uncertainty in the world, like I think it's selfish. I think it's selfish to, like, for me, like if I'm a dad who wants a kid, it's selfish for me to be like, bring a kid in this world because that's what I want, knowing that this kid's existence is going to be filled with hardships, most likely. It's a very selfish thing.
Yeah, it is.
And that's tough for me to think about and fathom.
It is.
Because every time, think about this, even... So this is what I find ironic. We
need more bourbon.
We have better technology at our fingertips. We have better healthcare at our fingertips. We have a more advanced society. We have more in the way economically to give us advancement and wealth and all these things. All these things that we say we should want and that we've determined that we want as a society. I say all these great things, they're at our fingertips currently. But every single time you've talked to somebody who's lived a long period of time, case in point, my grandmother-in-law literally has said, when she was a child, the world was so much better than it is now. By the way, that was the 1930s, where shit really sucked.
Yeah.
Economically sucked, medically sucked, technologically sucked. But why is it a better time? Why do I always hear older people, dad's generation, go, when I was a kid, times were way better than they are now. I feel bad for you kids.
Because they're younger.
That's crazy to me.
Because they're younger. Think about it. 60-year-old plus, you know, you sit at home, you read the newspaper if you still fucking got a subscription to the Dayton Daily News. You sit there, you get senile, you watch the news, you get jaded.
Yeah.
You know, you're just a retired person with no...
Yeah, but this is, my point is, this is somebody who has lived as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, as we have.
Yeah.
And they're saying, I wouldn't want to be in the position you're at as a child, as a teenager, as an adult. My childhood, they're saying, is better than what we have presented to us today.
I guess it's just perspective, man, because it's like... Then I hear the hardships of, like, our grandma and her mom.
That's my point, though. That's what doesn't make sense to me.
But I feel like it's biased, though.
Is it?
To a personal experience.
We haven't lived in both times, and they have.
No, but I just think it's biased to the individual's experience of what life was like.
I don't know.
You know? I'm your brother, right?
I don't like it either way.
I'm your brother. But we are two different people with two very different thoughts on life, experiences.
So would you say, like, our childhood was better than dad's childhood or mom's childhood?
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
But I bet if you were to ask them, they would say, I don't know how you kids dealt with what you dealt with.
Well, Dad, I mean, he was being literally hooked to a clothesline that he could only run up and down because he was running off in the neighborhood.
Right.
And grandma didn't know what to do with them, but hook them like a chained animal.
But also,
to a
wasn't there
clothesline.
kind of more of a sense of simplicity and freedom back then?
That's true. But you know why?
Because they were
access-
not educated.
The access of information.
Yeah, I get it.
I think that's a really big thing. I think if I could provide any words of wisdom to anybody listening to the show, going down this deep rabbit hole of what life means.
We really did.
Of what,
we really went
Yeah.
fucking hard in the paint on
of
this.
what life means is if I had to turn back the clocks of time and do things a little differently, this is what I would do.
Turn back the hands of time.
Whatever. What did I say?
The clocks of time.
Maybe there's multiple clocks. Maybe there's multiple clocks. Time is a constant, but it can be changed based on the laws of physics.
Like when Superman went in reverse.
Correct. So, but here's what I want to say. If you want to live a happy life, this is my words of wisdom to everyone listening to this show or watching, which you're seeing me just get more and more bloated drinking this bourbon. Here's the thing. If you want to live a happy life,
Right.
live a simple and innocently naive life in your own bubble. And the only way to do that is you've got to disconnect yourself from all of the outside distractions and noise and news and other people's bullshit on social media.
Didn't Ted Kaczynski do that and then he murdered a lot of people?
Yeah, but if he was by himself, who's he going to murder? Himself?
Yeah, but he was the Unabomber.
But all I'm saying is
And he was in isolation.
I feel like isolation is the key to happiness.
Wasn't that like Ralph Waldo Emerson? Wasn't he like living in a little shack and shanty as he was writing?
Be off the grid. Go in isolation. You want to live a happy life? Learn to survive first. I recommend that because you're just going to die real quickly.
I would disagree with you.
Yeah?
Only in the sense that I think there's a lot of happiness derived from
Human interaction.
human interaction and
Maybe a small community. Don't get me wrong. I'm thinking like living like a fucking tribe. There's an island out in the middle of the southeast
Yeah, but they kill
Pacific.
people.
They do, but only if you come at them.
Not even that long ago, some fucking Bible thumping Christian went there to save them, and they fucking darted him like 30 times.
Because they didn't understand fashion. They saw this person dressed up in nice garb, and they're like, why am I naked? And that motherfucker is wearing God knows wherever he got that silk.
Yeah, I heard they're genuinely not good people.
But think about the simplicity of life. They probably are really happy. I mean,
You're talking about like Amazonians. And
yeah, I mean, these people literally wear hand-woven gloves with bullet ants that go inside the gloves for you to like test your manhood.
Yeah, but don't you think there's something to be said for the decreasing population of those tribes?
Well, they never expand. I mean,
But why?
because they only live to 45.
They don't even live to birthing age.
Yeah. I mean, think about, they don't have modern medicine.
So how is that the best life if it's one that can no longer be lived?
Because it's simple.
I could
It's
argue
simple.
this one pretty
Could you
easily.
imagine throwing an Aborigine into like a room where he just had to watch Fox News the entire day?
Yeah, I mean, isn't it called Jungle to Jungle with Tim Allen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty sure there was a movie made about that.
If I was an Aborigine, it's like, listen, I've survived a boar attack. I've lost my right arm to an alligator. I'm still alive. I still hunt for my food. I still provide for my family. My wife's nipples are down to her fucking knees. But if I have to watch this
Right.
fucking news station from
Right.
MSNBC or BBC or Fox News, I will literally end my life.
Yeah.
It's a simple life, man.
I don't know. I'm not saying it needs to be a life filled with things, but I don't know that simplistic of a lifestyle. Which is weird because that can get on a whole nother tangent of like I was God, dude, this could go forever.
That's okay, man.
I
We
was
got a lot to
listening-
catch up on.
I was listening to a podcast with a guy who understands at a very detailed level what Bitcoin is
Oh God, yeah.
and how it's relative to the currency system that exists.
Cryptocurrency, yeah.
Right. So one of the things that intrigued me about what this guy said was, he was like, why is money money? You know, how did money get created? Well, it's because we no longer used a bartering system
Correct.
as a species to say, okay, I have this, you have this, let's trade.
You've
right?
got a pig, and I've got like 20 pounds of corn.
Then somebody created a currency. That currency was relative to how you would purchase goods.
This is worth one pig.
Right. This thing, this object is worth something.
I don't have my 20 pounds of corn, but I got this one thing that's worth.
It comes that saying where people are like, that isn't even worth the paper it's written on, right? Like that saying, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, what makes Bitcoin different? And Bitcoin is different because it doesn't exist under, like, we have the Federal Reserve, which, by the way, is not part of the government. It's not controlled by the government. It's
controlled by the banks.
The Federal Reserve is a private entity, essentially. Yeah. It's not government backed by anything.
Yeah.
But the Federal Reserve dictates at any given time currency creation.
Yeah. Bruce Willis dealt with that with Samuel L. Jackson and Die Hard 4.
Right. Exactly. The Federal Reserve.
Right.
So the fluctuation of money, what gets printed, how much gets printed at a particular period of time, is all controlled by the Federal Reserve. The unique thing, what I found out about Bitcoin, is that there's no way to cheat the system. Like, everything is always being, like, it's essentially like if you buy Bitcoin, there's always, because of like the way that things are kept track of, there's always a transaction history, right? There's always these layers to, like, where there's not in typical currency. I could give you $1 right now. I could literally give you $1 and it isn't trackable.
Correct.
There's nothing to say that this dollar exchanged from my hands to your hands unless you and I contractually agree. I write something on a piece of paper, document it through, camera footage, whatever. Chris, here's the serial number on this dollar bill. It's now your dollar bill. Transaction, I sign over a contract and say, this is your dollar bill.
Yeah. This would kill the tattoo industry.
You could do that with money.
Yeah.
But with Bitcoin, everything is transactionally based through servers, through a computer, and everything is documented.
Yeah.
Everything is tracked all the time. So I think it was like every 10 minutes is a reoccurrence of them updating the system for all, like, individual transactions.
Yeah.
From Bitcoin currency
and
exchange.
From a security standpoint with blockchain, which I don't really want to get too deep into, but blockchain is the ability to provide, apologies for anybody who's a serious blockchain expert, but from my understanding, blockchain is the ability to provide a almost like a security level of preventing fraudulent activity.
Yeah.
For digital transactions, and they provide a little snippet of data and encryption that someone who's hacking into it would have to be able to decipher the encryption that each person has. That's part of the whole of the blockchain. So it's like, it's easy to hack a bank because it's one database. But with blockchain, you have to go across multiple people that have a piece of that puzzle to even, like, hack it. So the more people there are, like, the crazier and harder it is to actually, like, hack it. And they do that a lot with this digital currency shit. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was like, I was really, after watching this guy, and I'm like, obviously sound like a Riri when I'm saying this. But it was super interesting, where I was like, oh, that's why Bitcoin makes sense. Like, that's why people got into it and continue to get into it.
And it could be safely handled too.
That's what they were talking about.
From a security standpoint.
Like, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's not something that is carried. It's not something that is on a person. Like, the exchange of Bitcoin happens transactionally through servers.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen transactionally through me handing something off to somebody.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's so weird too. Like, the whole idea around it is just
that
like, really,
shit would be so useless if we hit an apocalypse, though.
Yeah, it'd be very useless. I mean, you couldn't use it at all.
We're gonna go right back to corn and pigs.
Oh, it'll go back straight to the barter system. You know what? We should probably get into this review now that I think about it. We do have a review today. Really excited about this one. Got our hands on a cigar that was released at IPCPR back in 2019. sold out very quickly. That is none other than the RoMa Craft Baka.
Yeah, man. It's kind of a crazy. What's crazy is like we've been waiting to smoke this for fucking ever.
For a long, long, long time.
I can't tell you how many times we had to pester RoMa Craft to like, can we get a Baka? I don't even care if I pay for it. I don't even care if I have to pay it at a premium. I don't care if I have to suck someone's dick.
Right. You would do that.
I need a Baka.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get one.
Nope.
And we found out it was because it was a supply and demand issue, basically.
Yeah, so what was strange is Danny sent us a couple samples of the Baka.
Baka.
And then just 2 weeks ago, I'm at a cigar lounge in Columbus, and they had a whole box of Baka sitting there. I was like, what? What the fuck? It was a tender box, and the great thing about it is that they put it out, and clearly no one knows the fuck it was, because people in Columbus are dum-dums.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab a few of these.
You know what? Is this the time? Is this the review? Is this the review we do? Is this the review, Corey, where we introduce a new scoring system?
I think we are at that time.
You know what they are, right? We did go over them, and you have access to what that is.
Nope. Sure don't. I looked for the file, couldn't find it.
Just look for mine. Just look for mine.
Don't know where it's at.
2020 reviews.
But then I have to go back into my file to find my score.
Okay. Well,
You should put it in my file, which is the main
you
file.
just give me, you whisper percentage, not in the microphone,
Okay. That I can do.
and then we'll figure out where it lands.
Okay. So Chris and I had a discussion. I don't know if it's because we just intentionally like to buck the trend or if it is actually meaningful.
Or if we're just dum-dums.
I'm still really not sure. But we had a discussion. We were talking about this late last week, and one of the things to me that gets tiring about this industry, and I would say hypocritically, Chris and I jumped on board because when we love reviewing, I say reviewing cigars, but I really just mean like having a conversation about what we like and dislike about cigars, right? Taking certain factors into consideration, as most people would if you're sitting around the lounge smoking a cigar, right? We just happen to put a defined process around it. I wouldn't say we're expert reviewers. I wouldn't say that we have these fucking crazy expanded palates that understand all these subtle flavor nuances. We simply just like to give our opinion. That's what we do. But like everybody else, like most publications, like most websites that people review, we associated our process with a score.
Always.
There's always an outcome of a score because that's essentially what this industry has dictated over a period of time.
It's like taking an exam in high school.
Right.
It's like, Chris, you did really good on this English exam. You get a 91%. That is an A minus.
Right. So we piggyback off that effort and we create an associated score with our defined process. And then we had this discussion last week and I brought it up to Chris and I said, who gives a fuck about a score? Why does a score matter? Why does it matter when the only thing that matters and what we discuss on here is a recommendation we make or not a recommendation that we make on a particular cigar? What is our opinion and what are we going to tell to the collective masses as far as an actionable thing that they can do when it comes to this cigar that we're discussing?
Yeah.
So the scoring system remains in place. The way Chris and I break down the criteria remain in place. However, the outcome is changed for the collective consumer, not an
telling
audience.
you a number.
You aren't going to understand what the number score is. What you're going to understand is how that translates into our recommendation or not recommendation of a particular cigar.
And to be frank with you, we're just gonna throw out some examples here, right?
Right.
If it's a cigar that's beloved, that we love,
Right.
if it's top of the food chain, alpha,
Right.
apex predator of cigars, that's the hot ticket, baby.
That's the hot ticket. That's the number one.
Hot ticket. If it is an exceptional cigar, worthy of the pros of the cigar industry, it comes highly recommended. Why shouldn't it?
Right.
Right? If it's anything below that, maybe it's a decent smoke to try. Maybe slightly polarizing. Maybe not for everyone. Maybe just hit our fancy that day.
Mm-hmm.
But a decent smoke, it's decent smoke to try. Makes sense, right? I use the word decent. Then we have maybe a little bit lower than that, you know? Now we're getting into
The subpar categories.
now we're getting into where the descent people live.
We're getting into the swamps.
Yeah, now we're getting a little bit below surface, right? There's probably better options out there for you.
Right.
We'll just tell you that. Better options out there for you. You can smoke it based on this price. Yeah, to each their own. But there's probably better stuff.
You're gambling. What it essentially is like doing is fucking a prostitute with STDs.
And my favorite...
You're taking a chance.
Yeah, and my favorite, which is the lowest category of how we might recommend a cigar to you, is simply this, and I've smoked plenty of these. Might as well smoke twigs and mud for free.
Have fun with your tree bark.
Yeah. And I've smoked a few. I've smoked more than a few. And they exist.
Now, what I want to say is the associated score that we give as a part of our process will fit into each one of those recommendations or not recommended categories. So we have ranges of the score that we associate. But what we really deem and what we really think is important and what we discussed for quite a long time was making sure that we can create action around what we say is a recommendation, because I think an associated score is so subjective in terms of like, well, what does a 92 relate to? What does that relate to? Does that mean, oh, this is exceptional? We don't have the same grading process as other publications, as other media sites. So what does that mean? Well, now those things are related to a category of which we say, hey, this is either top notch or it's a fucking fart in the wind and see you later, Gator.
Yeah.
We have tiers of which, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to, right now and going forward, we're going to be creating the recommendation for you. If it's something that we feel we highly recommend, that's what we're going to state. If we think you're smoking fucking twigs and mud because it's a fucking piece of shit garbage pile, we're going to tell you, you're better off smoking twigs and mud.
Yeah, man. And I think this is a time now where we introduce our new rating system that we're trying out. Fits well.
Yeah.
Fits nice. Does it look good on me?
Yeah, you're wearing a ghost-colored Band-Aid shirt. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Does it look good on you, though? Does it feel good on you?
My Baka shirt?
No, I think this rating scale.
Yeah. I've reviewed it.
Fits right?
Yeah.
Like, it looks good on you.
Yeah.
Looks real good on you. Whoever tailored that needs to be like get a fucking raise or a bonus or a tip.
Yeah.
Looks good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that rating scale looks good on you. And so here's our new rating system for you. I'm going to break it down for you folks. Each cigar review is broken down into 3 main categories. This shouldn't be any surprise to you. Construction, burn, and flavor. To throw in a little extra kicker, we see if the cigar is worth the price for a possible bonus or deduction. And then finally, we average out our individual scores, giving you guys our kind of final recommendation.
Right.
You're not going to hear that score. In fact, I don't even like a number. Numbers, what do they mean? They're for math nerds. Fuck them.
Yeah. And who made math, by the way?
Yeah.
Who thought, like, let's create this system to where we have to count shit?
God.
God sucks.
The universal language of the universe, Corey. Numbers.
The universal language of the universe.
Yes.
I thought Braille was the universal sign language.
Nope. Because I've also found out that there is dialects of sign language based on language.
I feel like Lauren told me that one time. I was like, it's like sign language is on the universal language. She's like, I'm pretty sure there's like a Spanish sign language. I was like, how's that even possible?
Yeah, there's different languages of sign language. It's fucking crazy. So before we get into this review, I thought it was interesting. So one of the things we were looking up, we went deep into the archives.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did RoMa Craft come out with a new cigar called Baka?
Why did they come out with a new cigar, period? So what I want to say before you get into the history around the naming of this particular cigar is that previous to this, there hadn't been a blend made from RoMa Craft in over 4 years.
4 years. That is nearly a decade.
Yeah, it's very close to a decade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's just say this. Considerable period of time to not have a new release cigar. So why 4 years later and why the Baka?
It is pretty interesting, Corey. And we dug deep into the archives and libraries of some of our most national historic treasures. And I didn't actually find any reference to what Baka means until I visited the Historical Museum in New York City. And I found a book, a passage, written in Japanese, which I had to have actually translated by a Japanese person.
Which I had to have translated by a Colombian.
Who took a Japanese as a second major. That's fair. But have you ever heard of the story of U.S. Captain Nathan Algren in the battle at Omura's railroads in Japan? Omura's railroads in Japan.
Did you say Japan? Remember when you used to call Panama Panamana?
Yeah, I definitely had that moment right there, for sure. But the story of U.S. Captain Nathan Algren and the battle at Omura's Railroad in Japan in 1877. Have any of you heard of this? Have you heard of it, Corey?
Mm-mm.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit something about this. And I think this is what this cigar is named after. Early in the training of peasants for the Japanese army, Captain Algren was informed that the samurai were attacking one of Omura's railroads. Omura, a corrupt businessman from Japan, sent the army there despite Algren's protests that they were not ready. Needless to say, the battle was a disaster. The undisciplined conscripts were routed, and Algren's old friend Grant was killed. Algren himself fought to the last before he was surrounded by an army of samurai. But before he was beheaded, the leader of the samurai, Katsumoto, raised his katana and uttered 3 words, "Yunata wa Baka," which stands for, "You damn fool," in Japanese. So I think
Baka means fool.
Baka means fool.
Do you think it means Japan?
It definitely means Japan. But what I think is interesting about that passage from Katsumoto is that the name of this cigar from RoMa Craft, Baka, means fool. Maybe to incite, are we the fools who did not expect a new cigar from RoMa Craft? Or is it the cigar that is foolhardy to go against the social norm of cigars? I don't know. That's a question for RoMa Craft. Skip. But what I do know is that Baka means fool. Sit on that one.
Stewing that for a bit. That was good, Chris. That was really good. I love the fact that you take seriously understanding the history of these cigars.
It's very important to me.
Yeah, I can tell. You arguably spend more time doing that than you do anything else. All right. So let's get into the crux of it. This is the Baka by RoMa Craft.
The Bantu.
So, wrapper type.
Yeah, go for it.
True African Cameroon.
I love Cameroon.
True African Cameroon, grown in Cameroon. Somebody definitely got their arm hacked off for fucking making this particular tobacco leaf. Here's the crazy thing about this cigar. Unlike RoMa Craft,
Unlike them.
who is usually pretty open about disclosing the combinations of tobacco that they use in their cigars, the binder and the filler both come as undisclosed.
I wonder.
The only thing that we truly know about this cigar is that the wrapper is true African Cameroon.
Which is expensive.
We smoke this and the Bantu, right? which I think is a 4x52.
It's a little short, pudgy.
It's a short pudger.
It's about as big as a Japanese erect penis.
Right. Which is
4 inches.
not long. These come at an MSRP price point of $925. Now, I will say this. In relation to price, this would categorically make this the most expensive, especially given the Vitola
Outside of
RoMa
the
Craft on the
special
market.
ones, yeah.
Now, this would essentially, obviously indicative of the fact that they're using true African Cameroon tobacco, which is very expensive, very pricey. I will say this. I had this in a smaller Vitola up in Columbus 2 weeks ago, and I paid $13.50 for it.
Whoa!
But because I couldn't get my hands on it, I said, fuck it, and I bought it.
Inato Baka.
Inato Baka. Bantu 4x52. $925 price point.
Yeah.
I want to make that in relation. Understand the size of the cigar itself is a 4x52. Also understand that African Cameroon is expensive tobacco to get. Now, let's get into the cigar. Chris, what did you think about the construction overall? I will say this before you get into it.
Yeah.
Fucking up a 4x52 seems nearly impossible.
Yeah, you think. Nah, I'm joking. Here's what I'm going to say. The construction on the Baka, the fool, do not treat them as the fool, for they are one that looks ready and ready for anything. I'm just going to do cryptic shit this entire review. I've decided. But what I will say is this is a well-kept fucking cigar. You know? If this was made in Japan, which I'm assuming it is, the amount of attention to the culture and the cleanliness of what a Japanese home is, this cigar represents it. It's clean, bro. They keep their shit clean. Everything looks prim and proper.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
There's the attention to detail on how this was constructed and woven and rolled is impeccable, with just a simplistic band on it. A little bit of white, a little bit of crimson red, like my favorite Katsumoto fucking samurai armor.
Right.
Actually, Captain Algren too. He didn't die. He actually lived. But he wore red armor, and it was gorgeous. He looked a lot like Tom Cruise. But this was a fucking beautiful cigar for 4 inches. It was impeccable, bro. It was kind of a caramely it wasn't like a very dark, rich color.
Yeah, definitely not.
That Cameron's typically going to be lighter, but it was so gorgeous. It was so like dense. That milk chocolatey color, I don't know, man. Kind of satin finish. This was a fucking beautiful, beautiful cigar. Beautiful.
I thought it was definitely something to look at for sure.
Yeah, man.
To me, it kind of reminded me of a ginger that sat in the sun too long. It was kind of spotted and dotted a little bit
Oh, yeah.
with a little bit of a reddish hue.
Gotta wear that 30 SPF.
I thought, to me, mine was very marbled in terms of its color.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost looked like a fucking leopard.
Did you have like these white pronounced veins? Like usually it's the inverse of that notion.
Right.
Where like the veins are typically darker on the wrapper. I had lighter veins on this Cameron.
Didn't take notice to it. I'm not saying that it wasn't.
Mine could have been albino though.
It's true. You never know when you're going to get an albino Cameroon wrapper.
That's true.
I thought it was unique. I will say this, very well constructed. And again, I said it almost rhetorically, but it's very difficult to fuck up a cigar that's a 4x52.
Yeah.
You know, I've fucked up making cigars at a 5x50, and it was my first time doing it, and they still were pretty decent. So it's really difficult to fuck up. And I don't know how hard Cameroon is to work with. I will say this is obviously not the thickest wrapper type, so I don't want to say it's the most durable, but it also is not really indicative of what you would see in like a Connecticut shade, where the pliability of the tobacco, it's a little bit more... I think you have to be a little bit more cautious with how you work the tobacco.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's to that degree either. I think it probably errs closer to that. but it seems like it does have a durability to it that you typically wouldn't see in a lot of lighter shade wrappers. Certainly, not on the same playing field as something that is, like a Connecticut broadleaf or a Pennsylvania broadleaf or a Mexican San Andreas.
Yeah, a proud, adorned armor,
Right.
ready for battle.
Right. Agreed. Not chainmail,
Nope,
but also not cloth.
definitely not.
Thought the construction on the cigar was awesome.
Impeccable.
Yeah. Very, very, very nice. Very well made.
Yeah.
What did you think about the burn?
I was going to ask you what you thought about the burn.
I thought it was fucking great. Again, stating the fact that a 4x52 is hard to fuck up, even from a smoking perspective, you have less of a cigar to smoke. So really, just by percentages alone, you have less of fucking issues that you're going to deal with in something that is at this particular size. This cigar smoked great. It was great smoke production, great burn line. I actually paid really close attention to the burn line on this. One thing that no, I'm not even going to say it. It's not a thin Vitola. It's a 52, so it's a thicker ring gauge. It's just a shorter cigar. Literally, if this particular Vitola shouldn't have any fucking issues.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I agree with that, Corey.
And it didn't. The burn was awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that. The thing I'll notice about the ash, though, is a really light ash. So I'm convinced, maybe it's my speculation, maybe it's my naivety, maybe I'm a fucking cigar idiot. Maybe I'm the fool. Maybe I'm the Baka. It's possible.
It is possible.
But I will say, based on
Probably
the
likely.
light, peppery-looking ash, I'm convinced this still has some Nicaraguan in the filler. Still fucking convinced. And it...
I would say that it does.
Yeah, I mean, it's Nica Sueño, right? But I will say this. I agree with you, Corey. This was a cigar that was an easy 1-2 puffer. Based on its Vitola, its ring gauge, and its length, this produces smoke so easily, like it takes little to no effort to get a full shot in your mouth. You know? A full shot. You know? One good suck, two good sucks. Big full mouthful. You have to forgive me. Corey has a dirty mind.
You said it. I didn't say shit.
But that said, man, I gotta agree with you, man. The burn was impeccable. Awesome. It burns so evenly. It burns so consistently. The thing is, we did a hold test. We do the hold test still. It's important.
It is very important.
I know it's 4 inches, but you still got fun with it.
I actually did a longer one with this one.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I smoked it. No, sorry. I'm thinking of the other one that I smoked, which I didn't review.
The longer one.
I smoked a Baka back-to-back on back-to-back days.
Oh shit!
I fucking had one.
Yeah,
and I smoked one back-to-back days.
You gotta fill your mouth.
I was like, I gotta fucking do this.
You gotta put it in your mouth.
So I was thinking about the first one I smoked, which is not the same Vitola, so it's not fair to say. But what I was gonna say was, incidentally, that one was a little long-lasting because I was actually in the middle of doing something.
You did a threesome with a Baka?
It was like a 10-minute.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, like this, I'll say this, man. It's like, here's what I'll say. It's like, it's a short smoke. It's a good Vitola. It's a good ring gauge. Did it pass the 5-minute hold test? Of course it did.
Yeah.
No fucking issues, man.
No problems.
What did you think about flavor, though?
Dude, so what I like about this cigar is that it has nothing to do with and no similarities or comparison, in my opinion, to any other previous RoMa Craft. So you have the Cro-Magnon, you have the Intemperance, you have the Neanderthal, you've got...
Wanderlust.
Yeah, Wanderlust. You've got the Aquitaine line. And there's always some derived similarities between them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They are all fundamentally different, but they do have some striking similarities, which I think is a good thing. I like the fact that it has some sort of brand consistency and flavor consistency overall. I really appreciate that about RoMa Craft because the cigars are so good, you want them all to be good.
Yeah.
This is such a far departure from anything that was created before, in my opinion.
I agree.
Flavor-wise. So what do we know about RoMa Craft and the previous versions and the previous lines that they've released? They are stout. They are thick. They are rich. They will make you vomit if you smoke too many of them.
That's true.
That does happen. We've talked about it. We know it's a reality.
Yes.
We like the smoke, but we know what it is. It's bold, it's pungent, it's in your face, it fucks your mouth.
You suck on it too long and you get too much of a mouthful, you might vomit.
You might vomit. What I think is crazy about the Baka is it is not any of that at all. Literally the furthest thing away from being in your face, bold, pungent, kick you in the dick, make you throw up. It isn't that. This cigar is mild. It's sensible.
Yeah.
It's well thought out. It's just what it is. Let's think about it this way. I'm going to use this really piss poor analogy. You come from a family of wrestlers, but you're the one kid in the family that doesn't identify with wrestling.
Yeah.
You've got the wild brother, you've got the wild sister, you have the wild father, but you're just a calm, collected kid. You're just a kid living his life, maybe a computer nerd, maybe a video game geek.
Yeah.
The wrestling life isn't for you. The tough and rumble life of being a professional wrestler isn't in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You're more of a peaceful person.
Yeah.
You're more of a refined kid.
For sure.
You're more calm. That's what the Baka is. The Baka is the calm sibling in a world and a family of fucking super wrestlers.
It's the ugly duckling, but in the best way possible.
Yes. It just isn't like the others, and I think that's what I like about it. So out of the gates, it does have kind of that subtle spice. I do agree with you that there's got to be a Nicaraguan component in here, but I'm sure someone would be like, there's not.
Yeah.
Fuck off. So it does have some of that subtle spice. It's kind of like tingles your lips a little bit.
Totally.
And there's a tanginess that kind of comes into effect, I think, early on in the cigar. But it's really fucking balanced, creamy and sweet. Like, I don't know. It's so weird to me. I was thinking about it. I was actually thinking about this the other day because I've been making a concerted effort to smoke certain regions of tobacco, certain kinds of tobacco.
Yeah.
Because I felt myself getting into this weird trend of smoking these Nicaraguan-filled, Connecticut broadleaf wrapped.
Yeah.
I kept finding myself fucking smoking similar profiles of cigars over and over again. And there was a point where I was like, God, am I blowing out my palate? I need to take a fucking break. And then I was telling you the other night, I smoked a cigar vastly different than all these other cigars that I've just, for whatever reason, have smoked recently and got into this weird fucking rabbit hole. And I smoked this other cigar that took me out of that hole. And I was like, oh, that's what it's like to fucking smoke something completely different again. This is that. This is kind of that departure from this normalcy that I've just been smoking kind of some of the similar stuff over and over. Different brands, similar shit, where it's like one just kind of stacked on top of the other like a fucking nice, clean pallet tower.
Yeah.
And I just needed something different. And I was really excited when I smoked this cigar because it was something so fucking different than anything else I'd smoked. Not only just out in the ether of cigars, but in RoMa Craft. It just isn't like its older siblings, which I think is what I appreciate about it more. It's very sensible. It's a very refined cigar. I like that it's more mild in nature in comparison to the older siblings. It's calm, cool, and collected. It's a fucking enjoyable smoke that's just vastly different from anything they've created.
I am so a Baka. I am so a Baka for thinking that this cigar, was going to be the same old RoMa Craft game. I'm such a fool. I'm such a Baka. Corey, I'm gonna give you my same notes for this actual flavor, which lines up with yours to the T.
Oh, that's creepy.
Bitter with spices with a tinge of creamy sweetness on the draw. Overall, that's speaking. Now, I went as far as to say that there was a gingerbread component. Was there a gingerbread component? Probably not, but it felt like Christmas in my mouth.
Yeah, I like those weird spices that you can get. You know, there's a lot of that in Honduran tobacco that I really enjoy. It's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I enjoy Honduran tobacco and Honduran puras as much as I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Side note is because it has a lot of those flavors.
Yeah, dude. And the thing is there was an actual peppery component to the cigar which always lingered, but was never overly predominant like I might have gotten with some of the other lineups in the RoMa Craft brands. And the thing is I got the same tingliness
Yeah, that was weird.
on the tongue on heavy draws. If I took a heavy draw,
Dude, when I first smoked it, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
it literally felt. Have you ever gone to a theme park? There's a theme park around us called Kings Island, all right? And there's a little game that no one goes to in between the Flight of Fear and the Scrambler.
Called Lick This Metal.
Yeah. That is literally an electric shock thing
Close. I was close.
that is Fester from the Addams Family.
Grab this metal.
And you got to grab it and you got to hold on to it while it vibrates at such an intensity you think you're being shocked. The feeling I got on my tongue was so similar to me holding that fucking joystick. Where you're just like shaking so goddamn hard, you're like thinking you're getting electrocuted. Was the same sensation I got on the middle of my tongue when I took a heavy draw. There's very few cigars that do that. I've noticed that with some Nicaraguan blends. I've noticed that with like Dominican blends. But I got it on this one too, and I'm like, you know what? For not being as spicy as I thought it was going to be, I still got that. And maybe that's the nicotine. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't feel like the nicotine was that heavy on this cigar, though.
No.
So it's
Not
like-
anything like previous cigars.
So it's
Now,
like-
that may have differed, though, in a larger Vitola. We don't know.
Yeah, but like, it was an anomaly.
Yeah.
Do you play me as the Baka? Because I don't understand how this thing works. You know, like I'm getting the tingliness, and usually that's attributed to like heavy spice or like strong nicotine. You know, like my face is going fucking numb.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like the nicotine was overpowering at
No,
all.
just definitely not indicative of most RoMa Craft cigars.
But this cigar smooths out so much after the first few hits.
You know the worst part about this cigar? This one in particular is it's only 4 inches.
I know.
It's like right when you're getting to the point where you're like, God, I could smoke this all night. It
Yeah.
ends.
I know.
Very frustrating.
But it opens up to some creaminess at the end. It's just like, man, it's such a smooth cigar, but the spice is still there. I don't know, man. I loved it. It was like RoMa Craft graduated from middle school to high school. You're like, dude, you're doing it. You're farther than the rest of your family. You're the first one to go to high school.
Yeah. I mean, they literally named a cigar Neanderthal, so.
That's what I'm saying. Dude, I don't know what about the flavor. The flavor was amazing. And it was such a nice experience to go like, yep, I know it took 4 years. I was impatient, but I'm glad you did something different than you did before.
Yeah. Yeah, the only struggle now is how do you get a hold of them, right? I thought when I saw it on the shelves, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, this must be a mistake.
Yeah.
It must be a mistake. This shouldn't be sitting on the shelf right now. I'm glad it was. I'm actually probably going to go back and buy more if they still have them, which I assume they will. But yeah, I mean, I think the only downside is I know it's difficult to get your hands on that African Cameroon tobacco, as Danny stated on a few episodes ago when we had him on. So production is limited, and I don't know. Actually, you know what? They probably should have known there was going to be a lot of fanfare around this, but I think you can anticipate that crop growth and your accessibility to the tobacco that you need to use to craft these cigars. So I understand that there's a balance and there's a challenge there. I just think they're so in high demand that it's like, hey, make another fucking 1,000 boxes, you'll be just fine. You're going to sell them no problem, because not only have everybody had been waiting for such a long period of time to have a new cigar from RoMa Craft, this just happens to be one that's really fucking good and way different than anything else they've produced.
The question we have to ask ourselves now, though, Corey, is the question of whether or not this 4x52, this 4-inch Japanese donger,
is worth the price.
is worth $10, $11, maybe even as high as $13.
Ugh. Yeah, that was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie.
Where you went.
Yeah, that was a struggle. I probably won't do that again.
The question is it worth the price? My personal opinion is this. I know it's short, but it always left me wanting more.
Yeah.
It was an hour smoke, but it was like, if I could smoke another one back to back, I fucking for sure would.
Right.
I personally feel at a $10 average price point, this cigar is the appropriate price for the experience you get from a RoMa Craft cigar.
Yeah, I will say it is, from a price perspective, as I mentioned earlier, elevated over its older siblings.
Yeah.
Essentially due to the fact that that particular crop used for the wrapper, being the African Cameroon, is just more expensive. Not understanding what is in the binder and filler, don't really have anything to expound upon in terms of the components used and what, would necessitate an appropriate price. Just don't know. Honestly, don't care. I agree with Chris in assessing this cigar for what it is and saying that for a 4x52 at a $9.25 price point, it's a pretty damn good cigar. And the fact that it's so ridiculously different than anything RoMa Craft has created previous to this makes me like it even more.
Yeah.
So I do agree that I think from a pricing perspective, had it not been RoMa Craft, had it been like somebody I'm not as excited about to smoke that created a similar Vitola, I'd probably say not worth it. Especially for like the price that I paid it for up in Columbus.
That's rough. I would have
very rough.
If that was the average price, I'd be like, it's not worth it.
Definitely not worth it.
Yeah.
But at $9.25, man, it's a fucking. I would buy it at this price all day long. I think it's very appropriate.
I would too.
Even for a short Vitola.
I would too.
Because really, if you smoked an 8x52, stack these two together, you're paying $18 for it.
Yep.
Dude, I know $18 cigars ain't that fucking good.
Yeah, I agree.
For a 6x52.
I smoked 2 of them this week.
So there you go.
Yeah, I agree
That's
with
the
that.
math I'm going to use.
So, great construction, fucking great burn, great flavor. I need you to mouth to me
Right.
your actual breakdown of it so that I know what to do with it. Okay. Based on our scoring, folks, whether or not that's the hot ticket, maybe it's highly recommended. Decent smoke to try. There's a better option out there for you. Or might as well smoke twigs and mud for free. This cigar, the RoMa Craft, Baka Bantu, a 4x52. Guys, I'm going to be real with you. This is a highly recommended cigar.
Yes.
By far.
Hey, it's a highly recommended cigar that you can't get your hands on.
Yeah. That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
That is really the tricky part.
Yeah.
You know?
I made sure that when I found that, I texted Danny. I was like, oh, I finally got one on my own. I was like, I got it in Columbus. He's like, see, it's not that bad. I was like, literally, this place is an hour and 40 minutes from where I live.
That is a drive to get a cigar.
Yeah, it was a hike to fucking procure this
Can
particular
I tell
cigar.
you what mine was?
At $13.50 or whatever it was.
This is what mine was.
Whoa.
I know. It was right up my alley, man.
Damn. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But this is a highly recommended cigar, folks. You're dealing with about an hour smoke, 45 minutes if you're a fast chugger. If you like to really put that in your mouth and suck for a good fast pace, you just want to make sure that you do it in a timely manner, that you're like getting a quickie out.
Right.
Like this cigar is 45 minutes. If you're doing a quickie.
I would say this, though, because the flavors are the way that they are, and I think because the cigar is so different from not only things that I've smoked in the marketplace as a whole, but just in consideration of RoMa Craft, I would say take your time with the cigar. Don't rush it. Don't get it too hot. I would say slow your roll. Enjoy this cigar. Honestly, this is a cigar that I'd very much enjoy in solitude.
If you...
I want to be there with myself and the cigar and nobody else. There's cigars that are appropriate for community and socialization. This cigar is one that you want to take it all in by yourself. Digest it in a singular fashion. Don't worry about the hubbub around you.
If you rush this one, you will be a nanata Baka. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You'll be the fool.
I'm teaching you Japanese as well as calling you a fucking fool.
It's true.
Do not rush this cigar.
I agree. I would
enjoy it. I know it's 4 inches, but to understand that it's not about how fast you pump. It's about making sure that the ride is good. You know?
That's true.
You know? Get in a rhythm. Take your time.
Get in a rhyme.
You know? You want to make this slow and enjoyable.
It's bobsled time.
Yeah. Just go slow with it. You know? This isn't a race. Am I racing you?
No.
You're not racing me, are you?
No.
Yeah. Who's it a race?
Not about that race life, dude. I'm 32.
What is this? Competition? Fucking take your time.
Take your time for sure.
Take your time.
Oh, all right. Well, man, I'm glad we're back in the studio and not somewhere else. I like this better.
It does feel better, doesn't it?
I just don't want to do any more Zooms. I just don't want to.
I find myself just sitting back, enjoying the conversation. I'm the fly on the wall.
Yeah, it's annoying that I have to do all the work.
I mean, I interject with some relatively decent questions, but not to the extent of you're a very good interviewer. I just don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, you talk to me, I'll talk to you, but I'm not going to go down a deep rabbit hole of, like, questions and shit.
No, all for me, it's just a striking curiosity, honestly. So, yeah, so you can check out last week's episode, which was the creators of the hand-rolled documentary. And if you haven't seen it, please go see it. It's just search for it on Amazon if you have Prime. Go search for the hand-rolled documentary. It's not very expensive. It's like $3.49 or some shit for like 48 hours. It's definitely worth a watch if you love cigars. If you're not a huge cigar person, I've already stated this before, it is such a well-done documentary. Considering all documentaries I've seen, it's one of the most well-done ones that I've seen, minus some of the really incredible animal ones, which are only cool because
like
the footage
Life?
is so good.
Like Life?
Right.
Yeah,
like
dude.
Life. So those are the only, like, but I would say in relation to, like, good documentaries, this one is fucking awesome because it's real, and that's what I love about it. And it's so well done, man. Just like the cinematography of it is so good. Super impressive. And Jesse and Steve, both awesome guests for the podcast. I greatly appreciate having them on. It was really cool to have them take time out of their day to talk to us. What else? We just got our new cigar packs. So they've been featured on this desk. Just got this today for my cigar pack, which is going to be the July edition. They're not even open. They're still sealed. I'm going to open them afterwards. I actually think I'm going to do...
Still right now?
I think I'm going to do... No, I'm going to do a video.
Okay.
I'm going to do like a surprise video of like what's in it. Because I think I know what's in it. But I think I'm just going to do like a quick video, just an unleashing of each one of these.
Yeah.
Just to show everybody what's in it and just throw it up on YouTube. But yeah, My Cigar Pack, you can visit My Cigar Pack, show sponsor, at www.mycigarpack.com.
And for percentage off your first order.
But not a percentage, just $10.
Well, it could be it's technically a percentage. I don't know the math, but I know
Right.
that it's 10 off, so that's probably, I don't know, 20 something percent. I don't know.
It's like 25%.
Yeah, some off of it based on the math. I'm good at math, but I don't remember math. And that's probably questionable at this point.
Sure.
But all I'll say is just enter the code HOT10 at checkout, and you'll save $10 on your first order.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you? Just fucking try it out. If you haven't tried it, just do it. You're saving $10.
And I will tell you this. We're starting to see some COVID spikes again, so getting to your B&M may be a challenge.
And these
Having
make
a
sense.
fucking monthly subscription totally makes sense, and this is a good one to get. I know the July pack's good because I do have a list of what was supposed to be included in it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open these bad boys up and check, but super stoked.
And if you're concerned about the nature of COVID, These cigars have been tested for COVID.
Yep.
They did a cough test and they did like a nose swab test on these cigars. These have all come back negative.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about getting COVID from these cigars.
We're positive they're negative.
They're positive, they're negative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a battery.
I will also say this. Please check out our website, www.hotticketweekly.com, where you can see our recent episode in video form. You can listen to a podcast form. You can also see all the reviews that we've done. You can see industry news, all included on the website, www.hotticketweekly.com.
Yeah.
All right.
It's so official when we have a website.
Yeah, it is.
We feel like a company.
Yeah.
You ever feel like a company?
That makes no money.
No, it makes no money, but you
Just
feel like
hemorrhages money.
You feel like a company.
Yeah, you feel legit. Cheers to a Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
This is episode 158, which is awesome. We won't have an episode the next week.
No, because Corey is going to get COVID, and he needs that week off to recover.
Yeah. I've already contracted with a COVID patient.
Yep.
To
he's gonna make sure he gets it.
To literally drip their snot inside my mouth.
Yep.
So I am sure to contract it. This is my incubation period to just get it and to get over it.
It's a controlled.
Yeah, it's controlled.
Exposure to virus.
Yeah. It's very controlled. I will have medical assistance and guidance at all times just to make sure that things don't get out of control. So I will have in-house medical assistance for a period of a week. But I did want to let you guys know it doesn't make sense for me to expose Chris to the COVID-19 virus involuntarily. So
no, and I will be actually in the process of figuring out a game plan to deal with dragons and subsurface species.
Right.
Called descent beings.
We're both battling real issues here, essentially.
It's all about survival.
Yeah, for sure. Cheers to an episode 158. We'll be back at you guys in 2 weeks. Going to take a healthy week off. We'll be back at you in 2 weeks with episode 159.
Yeah.
See you, everyone.
Bye.